right, and welcome to Fast Break Breakfast NBA podcast. My name is Keith Parrish, and I'm here once again with my buddy through the miracle of computer phone. I'm here with Dave DeFore, back from the NBA Cup, the Emirates NBA Cup in Las Vegas. Dave, how are you doing?
Awful.
Awful. What's going on, brother?
I just did Summer League again, basically.
What's wrong with that?
5 days in Vegas is too many.
You spent 5 days in Vegas. That's a lot for December.
Yeah, it was brutal. And I stayed on the Strip, which I normally don't.
Okay.
Yeah, so it was like a sea of humanity and no good food. There is no good food on the Strip, unless you want to go, have a meal.
There are amazing restaurants in basically every casino on the Strip. So you're saying you don't want to walk into the casino?
Necessarily a good meal, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I can't put that together, but let's just move on.
I don't want to sit down and spend $80 on a steak, even if my company's paying for it. Like on principle, man. I wanted some oatmeal one day and it was like $16 and so I went and got a banana.
Yeah. This fish costs how much?
Yeah. And it's not even my dime. It's more the principle. I hate taking part in what's happening. So yeah, Vegas, man, awful. So it's a bad place.
My main NBA Cup question in Las Vegas. What was the temperature? What were our highs?
Like 58.
Oh, that's chilly.
It was not, and it wasn't sunny.
Oh wow.
It's dark really early. Yeah, it was brutal.
So
Cup was great though.
The basketball was great. It really was good. The semifinals I thought were very dramatic and exciting. Mm-hmm. The final, it was not the Thunder's finest hour.
No.
But like the Bucks manhandled them. And we're going to talk about that. Let's talk about that. You kind of rolled your eyes, so we'll get into more of that in just a second. Yeah. But I loved the actual basketball. I liked my favorite thing is the offensive impotence when the game matters.
Yeah.
I love the fact that much like in playoff games, like did the cup matter? I don't know, but the players shot the 3-pointers like the cup mattered because they were terrible at it. And the rock fight between Rockets Thunder and the semis was fun. And then once again, the Thunder couldn't score on the Bucks in the final, but we'll get into that in a second. We got to do our breakfast first. In Vegas, Dave, I know you don't want to pay for a $16 oatmeal, but you had to at least have some good breakfast in Vegas. At least a $9 parfait, something.
I had a $2.50 banana. And I got, those squeeze things that you get for kids that have like the pureed fruit?
Yeah.
I got a strawberry banana, one of those.
But we call it baby food.
There you go. And I had a 30-ounce black cold brew. That was the best breakfast I had the entire time I was there.
Man, you got to live a little. You're there. Sometimes you just have to indulge.
Options are disgusting, honestly. Like every single option is like, do you want cheese on top of your butter or butter on top of your cheese? And that's just not for me.
That sounds amazing.
I like good food. I'm not a glutton.
Yeah.
I've never been into dessert for that reason.
It's too bad.
Always too much.
It's glutton season.
Yeah, I guess.
I had a lot of cookies. I went and worked for like 90 minutes before this, which is the perfect amount of time to work. And at the place I was at, they had just a bunch of Christmas cookies and things around. I'm like, well, here's my breakfast. They had one that was this is a school I'm at. They had one dessert that somebody made that was that someone put a Post-it note on there that said the round ones have booze. And it was like these little, like, I don't know what you call it. Like
rum?
Like the little rum ball type thing.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, well, okay, probably a flavor, but like, what are we talking about? This was cooked or baked or something. And also I'm at a school, so it's not actually boozy. I took one, unbelievably boozy. Just like
a shot.
Yeah. It was like taking a shot of rum. I was like, wow, incredible.
Yeah, alcohol doesn't really like cook out like that.
Well, sometimes I thought it does. I thought the actual myth. Okay.
Yeah, it's a myth. I like one of the secrets to my pasta sauce is Tempranillo.
Okay.
And yeah, you're just drinking some wine, buddy.
Just boozing it up makes you feel good, warm all over. I also, after that, so I did come home and right before starting to record, I ate some of my leftovers from last night's dinner, went out to eat. It was a hot chicken sandwich. So, but I didn't heat it back up. So it was a cold hot chicken sandwich. So it's very tasty. And now I actually have a little bit of burn going. I like it. It's like a motivation. It's like a push. Like I don't have a water. I got nothing to drink.
You sound so clear this week.
Yeah, it's great. Oh, much better than last week with the flu. And the week before that, just average December Keith. Not ideal. Honestly, what I was thinking, Dave, when I started the show, when I said fast break and then paused before breakfast briefly, in that entire pause, I thought about how much of a break this has been. Mm-hmm. The no NBA basketball. Like, I mean, numerous teams like the Cavs and the Nets playing like one game in 9-10 days. I guess almost every other team played like 2 games in something like 10 or 11 days. This is the new All-Star break, sort of. Maybe the basketball will be amazing coming out of it. Maybe it'll be, I don't know, not that great. It does seem like a mild punishment for the teams that actually participated in the Cup. As a Memphis Grizzlies fan, I liked the fact that the Warriors and Rockets picked up losses. Also the Mavericks, in like the last week and a half. So the Grizzlies are like, oh yeah, we got killed by, the Lakers. Who cares? We're still second because we have to play in this Cup. Now the Thunder have a tough schedule coming out of the NBA Cup stuff. But I guess we can talk more about that in a second. But the break's been wild. I mean, just last night, Dave, Wednesday night, I went to bed at 10. I felt super sleepy, awesome. And that's like so early for me. And I put it together this morning. I'm like, there's just no basketball on. My whole body was like, man, let's just shut it down and save it.
You gotta quit NBA.
Yeah, let's save this. But anyways, we did our breakfast. After our breakfast, we moved to our breakfast in bed apologies. This is my chance to make right what I might have gotten wrong on a previous episode. Frequently the first time we talk about them. I do want to specify some of the Devin Booker stats I was throwing out last week, where Devin Booker famously, at least to me, never had a winning streak in his career until the bubble. The actual numbers, because I wasn't sure what they were. I was throwing out all kinds of, 6th or 7th year of his career. That's too many. So here are the actual stats as far as Devin Booker never having a 3-game win streak. Now, technically, his rookie season he did, but he barely played. He was coming off the bench, just playing a few minutes. So I never counted that. I was counting while Devin Booker was the starter. He became a starter his rookie season because the Suns were horrible. But then it wasn't until his 4th season where he finally won 3 straight games. Also that year, he lost 21 straight games. Very impressive. But then he finally tasted a 4-game winning streak in his 5th season, which was the 2019-2020 season, which was the bubble season. So I want to get all of that correct as I continue my slander of Devin Booker and also start enjoying the fact that he can't win a game this year when Kevin Durant does not play. So that's my big apology. Also, here's an apology. I was a doubter for the level of interest that the NBA Cup would have. And I have seen NBA analysts, I've seen writers and podcasters criticizing it somewhat, but I think it worked in the sense that I talked about that the players obviously tried super hard and struggled to perform under the bright Vegas lights and the mediocre perhaps crowds. Were the crowds in person good? They did not seem good on TV.
They weren't they weren't fans,
Yes. That makes sense.
They were random people. The Tuesday game had more fans, and this is why, the league, I think, is just got to figure out something. It's a logistic issue, not an issue with the games or the cup. And frankly, kind of hope they never figure that out because the tickets were so cheap. There were a lot of people that saw their first NBA game there. I mean, look, the NBA wants to be a league for rich people and rich people only. And I will do anything like that I can to shut that down. So I want people to have a chance to go see a professional sporting event and not have to take out
Yeah.
Almost dropped an F-bomb for you,
Yeah.
Keith. But a personal loan to be able to do it. Like, we used to have entertainment in this country that was for everybody. And now it's for corporations and incredibly rich people who are overwhelmingly dumb and not fun. So there were a lot of kids there. Like, they were doing the wave, which I hate. But they were doing the wave because they were in a crowd, like watching a game probably for the first time in forever because it's too expensive. So I don't know, man. Like, I don't really care that it looked bad on TV. It was okay in the arena. It wasn't great. Part of it is that the arena was too big. I think they should have just taken away the top level. But
oh wow, you mean actual do crowd manipulation? Like, you're shutting down the top level, y'all. Everyone move down. Everyone scoot into the inside and move down.
Yeah, keep it a little tighter. That would have been okay. But I don't know, man. I think anytime you do a neutral site thing like this, and it's not the Super Bowl, you're not the NFL. You're going to run into a situation where you don't really have a lot of fans there. So
Also the Saturday to Tuesday thing, we talked about it. Who can leave the second week of December open? Not even rich people, but it's like, I mean, all sports are going this way, and we see some pushback, like the Suns. I don't care. I give them credit, even though you wish everyone would just do this. Matt Ishbia making all your basic concessions $2. You can buy a $2 soda and a $2 hot dog, which is like, man, why can't I always wonder, going back to the days of playing Madden, where you got to set your concession prices. This is like Madden 05. It was like a thing where it's like, you can make your hot dogs cost $1 or $30 and just watch your, see how it angered the fans or whatever. And it's like, I've always wondered, like, how much money are we talking that you're bringing in on popcorn? And
a lot, because they're charging for 30 cents worth of popcorn. They're charging $30,
but right? Still, I'm talking about when you talk about the overall income of goodwill versus making it affordable to your fans, of building up the younger fan base. Meanwhile, speaking of building up your younger fan base, and we had a breakfast in bed apology from the Charlotte Hornets. Did you catch this viral story, Dave?
No,
this happened.
Nothing.
This happened while you were in Vegas. The Charlotte Hornets scammed a kid out of a PlayStation, and it went viral. They did a timeout skit at their home game where it's like a Christmas skit, and they have a kid, like a 13-year-old, unwrap a present, and it's a PS5. Okay. And then when the commercial break is over, they're like, hey, kid, actually, you don't get a PS5, but here's a signed jersey. And this goes viral. Because, like, what in the world? Why are you doing this? Why are you being randomly cruel to a 13-year-old?
Cheap.
For $500?
Cheap.
And so it goes viral. I mean, this made
know the owner's name anymore.
This made like the Today Show.
Yeah.
This made
nobody that owns an NBA team is a cheap.
Yeah. So like this made Inside Edition, which I didn't frankly know was still on TV. But like this went massively viral. The Hornets got called out on social media because somebody filmed it and someone knew like the kid was a season ticket holder. I mean, his family is. And so like they knew people there on social media. And they're like, they took the guys, they took the PS5 away. They didn't even give it to him. And I can't imagine the thought process that goes through. Like they got millions and millions of dollars of negative publicity.
Good.
Good, which is like, why wouldn't you just it's $500? That's just, you're an NBA team. Like that's what is that? That's 120 hot dogs. I honestly blew my mind.
We should all just stop going to games.
I mean, it feels like that's what they're trying to get us.
They can lose the money though, because they'll just write it off. Yeah. They'll put it in an envelope. It'll be fine. This is the world that we live in.
What were your basketball conclusions from the Cup final? What were your takeaways from either the semis or just like the Bucks? I said manhandled the Thunder. What were your takeaways from the Bucks win over the Thunder and taking down the Cup?
Part of it, I would say like there's some stuff with the Thunder. Maybe they're a little bit too small. I don't know that Chet helps them a lot in this particular matchup. Like they can guard. I think they can play Dallas. They can play Minnesota. They can play Denver. But when you're playing against Giannis and Brook, it was apparent how small they are. But that being said, if they had hit shots, these were open looks. Isaiah Joe had missed like 4 wide open shots at the top of the key.
He's not a 7-game player.
Yeah. Not a 1-game player. And so I just think if they had hit shots, they win this game probably going away. Like they probably have like a 12 or 15-point lead at halftime if they had just shot like 25%.
Yeah, I think at halftime, if I remember correctly, I guess I could pull the box score up, but it's probably no, I think it was like 1 of 17. It was a 1-point game, and I think they were 1 of 17 from the 3-point line. I liked the failure of them to make shots, and because of it, you saw what felt like a more varied offensive attack. I mean, of course, it's just Giannis sunning everybody because he's bigger and better than everyone. But I liked how like the ways they were getting him the ball, they were attacking in the mid range. You had multiple guys, like they hit some threes, but it felt more aesthetically like older basketball where it's like, okay, you're trying you can score a lot of different ways. Yeah. And of course it was a low scoring affair because of the Thunder not being able to score. But I came away impressed by the Bucks, who I've been even doubting since they turned it around from that 2-8 start. I was poking a lot of holes in just the teams they've played. But this is, I mean, beating the Thunder is a big deal. Like you said, the size of the Thunder, it's like a legit thing. And I don't know what you're supposed to do. Also, my worry for the Thunder all along has been the offense. It's like, what happens if you don't have someone else who can create shots? In this game, it was like I guess you hope that Shea is going to be the best player on the court, even going against Giannis. You thought maybe he would be, but it felt very throwback basketball to the fact that, like, how stupid do you feel thinking a however tall Shea is, 6'3" guy,
6'6",
or is he that tall? Okay, like, well, but thinking that's going to be the best player on the court when the other team has a 7-foot Giannis, who's just a monster, and no one can stop at all.
It's this was a little bit of a Jalen Williams game to me. They were doing everything they could to take Shea away. Andre Jackson Jr., I think, did a really good job of being physical. Like, he was face guarding him at times. And this is where they needed J-Dub again to just take the scoring load. He needed to run off like 10 or 12 straight points. Just to be the other head of the snake, so that they could actually start guarding him instead of the way they were not only face guarding Shea, but also shading the entire defense toward Shea. Didn't put him on the free throw line, which is huge. You know, when he was trying to generate just trips to the line and get some offense going. They were also leaving Lou Dort wide open, which I think is a mistake. But again, this was the game where it didn't hurt him. And I don't think that that's a sustainable, path to beating the Thunder, but for the Bucks it is, because they
might be.
They own the glass. The Bucks are a unique problem for the Thunder. Now, that being said, I mean, it does make me really want to see them against Boston, see them against Cleveland. Yeah. This might be secretly the beginning of where we see the difference between East and West, not in the regular season, but come playoff time, right? The East has a lot of teams that can go too big and two good bigs, right? Who can stretch the floor and do those things. And the West doesn't have a lot of teams like that. So, that could be a situation where we get into the finals and it really is styles make fights. And can you hold up, if the Bucks make it? I mean, I'm ready with the Bucks now to say they are definitely not as bad as they started. Yeah. And it looks like they're getting better. The more AJ Green and Andre Jackson play, the better they've looked. I mean, AJ Green stuck like 3 threes that were just in someone's eye.
He made a single elimination game of the hardest looking threes because he's always taking them off of movement usually. And sometimes the movement is absolutely outrageous. And I will say, I'll agree with you with the Andre Jackson thing. I kind of scoffed at him a couple weeks ago, but like, in a game where Chris Middleton was ill and unavailable to play, the Bucks seemed like they had enough guys. Gary Trent Jr. had a good game, and meanwhile, AJ Green and Andre Jackson, the two AJs, looked very solid for this team. Meanwhile,
Prince was good. I mean,
Taurean Prince has been leading the NBA in 3-point percentage. Yeah. Oh, and also we have to give credit to Taurean Prince. 14-0 in the NBA Cup, an absolute legend of the in-season tournament Emirates NBA Cup, 14-0 for Taurean Prince. Absolute
winningest player in
legend.
NBA Cup history.
I mean, by a mile. Unbelievable stuff. Also, I give credit to Darvin Ham. I guess.
Did you see the Bucks? The Bucks posted a picture.
This is a big deal.
Darvin. Yeah.
Which picture?
Of Darvin. The picture of Darvin. It said that we went ham.
Oh yeah.
When he's coaching them next year, I'm putting
all my
money on.
No, I thought you were going to go into the celebration aspect of this, and this was very interesting. And to me,
I heard something about that. By the way,
this feels like a black eye, like to Adam Silver and his desire for this thing to be a big deal. The Bucks, if you did not see it, the Bucks did not celebrate in the locker room at all. There was some talk that Darvin Ham said, hey, we celebrated last year as the Lakers and we went 3-10 after winning the cup. And so we told the team not to celebrate. So the Bucks did not celebrate. There was champagne there. There was like a coolers full of Mick Ultras, and they didn't touch them because it was all about business. And the idea that Adam Silver has been trying to make this a thing to convince the players to compete, and they did on the court, but then did not celebrate. It seemed like they're just, I don't know. It seemed like if you're Adam Silver, this is something you could not have foreseen. You're like, there's always a problem you don't anticipate. And like you set up everything. And even like the ratings for this were pretty good. They were reasonably good. Lots of people, this was the second most watched game of this season, and it was Bucks Thunder. But then you have the team winning it, not even celebrating the win. I don't know. I feel like Adam was probably frustrated about that. Do you disagree?
I'm okay with not celebrating it. Number one, they told them before the game that they weren't going to. The NBA is obsessed with content, man. That's the only reason that they wanted them to celebrate and that they were disappointed, because they just want to film video, man. Like everything that happens is for a 30-second clip on social media that everyone scrolls right through and doesn't care about.
Yeah.
Apparently they had a meeting and Darvin said, you know what? I think we celebrated too hard for something in the middle of the season, and it ruined our mindset for a couple of weeks. This is what happened. This was before the game. Mm-hmm. So the NBA having all the celebration stuff, that's on them, man. That's their embarrassment. This doesn't come up. If you don't
how would the NBA know?
Locker room? Because, well, what I don't get is, why don't you coordinate with the teams so you don't put yourself in this position?
I'm saying you're acting like you could have seen this coming, that said like, oh, the NBA should have asked both teams, hey, are you going to celebrate if you win?
Plan?
There's no way you could see that beforehand.
Both teams have to leave and go play a back-to-back.
Yeah.
They've got one day, or I think the Bucks have one day and the Thunder have start Friday. Is that right?
Do we know? Yeah,
I don't have the schedule in front of me, but so when you're these teams and you've been in Vegas for 5 days, you want to get out of there. You don't want to get out of there. You know, I think that it's kind of if you just think about it for 5 minutes.
How long are we talking about that they would actually shake champagne? Are we talking like an hour?
Well, I don't know.
It's less than an hour.
Well, yeah, but it's an hour of shaking champagne.
I mean, some of those dudes who basically doubled their year income.
Yeah,
they should have shaken that champagne. Did they
at least still fighting for jobs? Man.
Did they let them take it home? Where is it?
Oh, it was all sitting there. I think Ben Golliver got.
I should have texted Ben if he knows what happened to the to the champagne.
Yeah, maybe they probably just put it back in the fridge. You know.
Yeah, save it for summer league.
We had no water in the media room, but we had unlimited Michelob Ultra. I'll tell you that.
Well, water wasn't a sponsor, Dave.
Yeah.
That's incredible. No, I feel like it worked out for the NBA as far as the fact that people actually watched the game. I was super skeptical that they would. I don't know how you're ever going to get the fans there. Like they moved it to a Tuesday night, and I still feel like it's bad how it affected.
What was it last year?
It was on a Saturday night.
Okay.
So it was, I believe it was Thursday night semifinals. They were very poorly attended. And then Saturday night final, and it was the Lakers. This year, Saturday semifinals, also, I believe, poorly attended. The ratings were okay, as far as I understand it, on Saturday. I mean, all of this stuff about the ratings is so overblown in my mind, just because one, you just signed the deal.
I mean, massive media deal.
Yeah, you just signed the media deal.
Care.
Also, all the ratings are going down for literally everything.
Yeah.
Everything, the ratings are going down. The one thing where it bothers me, it's not NBA Cup related. It bothers me with the NBA All-Star game and the change for this. This truly, maybe it just speaks to our age and me being older, but I'm going to use you called it a medieval word. I mouth agog looking at the changes for the NBA All-Star game. Where it's like, what are y'all trying to do? Like, we know the players barely try and it's awful looking, but like, even the get rid of it doesn't make any sense to me. Just keep the All-Star game and celebrate it for what it is. It of course used to be the only time we got to see like Adrian Dantley play, or, it used to be the one time you got to see the random guy who was never on national TV play, but it's a showcase where kids, casual fans, and also hardcore fans who watch it every single day get to see these super lineups. We get to see Steph Curry and LeBron James and Jokic and Doncic on the court at the same time and just be like, whoa, that's incredible. And the draft thing where it was Team Giannis versus Team Curry, it was so horrible because you didn't know who was on which team. You could be a fan of your player, and I'm watching the game thinking like, I can't wait till Jaren Jackson Jr. comes in. I can't even remember which team he's on. Is his team winning right now? Like while you're watching the game. And then anything they do to take it away from just a basketball game, casual fans, kids, hardcore fans, you just want to watch the basketball game.
Well, the people even that run the NBA do not like basketball, Keith. They do not like basketball. They don't like basketball. They literally don't like basketball. Every decision they make, you just say, well, they don't like the sport. It's why it's so loud in the damn arenas. It's why like you can't the commercial breaks go on forever. It's why you got all these reviews at the end of games. It's why they don't care that we all know that Giannis gets a whistle. That is absurd. Like if Shaq was playing now, he'd average 50 points a game, man.
Dave,
this is like we've just gotten to the point where
Bucks
can't
fans
say anything, but they hate basketball.
Bucks fans are convinced Giannis gets a terrible whistle.
They are nuts.
This is the same way. This is the same way Mavericks fans are convinced Doncic is the most fouled player in the league. He never gets to the line.
Giannis bear hugs guys on defense and spins them around and gets a fast break on the other end in an and one.
So Adam Silver's press conference before the NBA Cup, he acknowledged something about the ratings, and they're obviously aware of it. He also acknowledged that maybe 3-point volume is an issue. I don't know how much. I mean, I don't love it that much. I think the one thing that we got to get on that has been, maybe it's specific to my team, the Grizzlies. Every game is forever.
Yes.
I haven't looked it up, but I'm pretty sure the Grizzlies, something like 8 of their last 9 games have been over 2.5 hours. And they play at a fast pace, but I guess there's more fouls because there's more possessions and there's more free throws. And it's just like every game is so long and there's so many reviews. I feel bad at times for the refs too. I watched multiple games. I mean, there weren't that many games in the last week. And I saw, I think 3 where coaches on their challenges it was 4-0, like where they all, both coaches 2 for 2 on their challenges. And meanwhile, you're the refs, you're like 0 for 4 guys. on these.
You ever notice that everything is worse? Like every product you buy is worse, right? The designed obsolescence, right?
Yeah, we're doing that.
Everything is made terrible so that you have to just replace it. Cars, they have plastic head gaskets now, which I don't know if you know this, but plastic, when it heats and cools, like it cracks. And okay, so everything is built to be bad. These referees are kind of just built to be bad. They don't care. No one cares if they're good at what they do or if they do it right. And with the NBA in particular, they are producing the game. And unfortunately, these guys have lost the plot. What's his face? Look, I don't ever want to hear a referee speak. I don't want to see your face on a microphone. Why would you start a podcast?
The review announcements are amazing.
No one cares. Look, referees, I hope you all have wonderful, happy lives, but we do not care what your name is, bro. I don't want to see your face. I don't want to hear your voice. Go home when you're done.
I've
Try
been
not to blow your whistle too much. And just
I've been meaning to volunteer to help out with the new NBA referee podcast. You gotta have a non-ref involved.
Well, you gotta have somebody who knows how to tell a story for sure.
You gotta have non-refs involved. You have to have pushback.
But Keith, if I may, the most boring thing that I could hear in my ears is a referee telling me a story about this one time in a game, I made this call. No, I don't care.
That's just
Not
you.
care.
That's
Yeah, no,
that
I
specifically
refuse.
speaks to me.
No, okay, yes, to you. They have an audience of
Yeah,
one. You should
they have
just
a
call these
small
guys on the
audience.
phone. Do a
There's a lot
group
of people.
FaceTime. Save us. Do the group FaceTime. I don't want to see them on social media.
I hate
They should
replay.
be practicing refereeing. They're so bad.
I hate replay reviews. However, I adore when they finally give you the conclusion. Listening to them talk into the camera is literally a joy. It's not worth the replay reviews. Saying they should work. This is like telling the players they shouldn't be playing PlayStation at night. They should be working on their jump shot.
Imagine if an NFL ref went up and was like, pass interference on Carl.
NFL refs are bad, but they've been assisted and helped by technology. They're being saved constantly by technology. And now we're hitting our greatest hits. We have the ability to help out the referees with this technology.
I just look, they should be like children, seen and not heard.
The Milford man, Arrested Development joke there. By the way, the new All-Star game format, and then we'll take a break. A single night tournament of 4 teams of 8. That's your 24 All-Stars, 12 from each conference. That makes 3 teams. If you can do quick arithmetic, I hope you can. So that's 24 players. The 4th team is going to be one of the Rising Stars teams. It's possibly going to be players that even casual fans could care less about.
Yeah.
So like I'm at a loss. Already Kevin Durant and John Morant have come out and said, why isn't just East versus West? No one knows. I mean, it's technically their fault for not trying. It's technically the player's fault for humiliating Adam Silver and not attempting to play at all. I mean, Ja specifically in his 2 All-Star games, done nothing. Scored like 5 points in each one. He's like, yeah.
They should do NBA Field Day. And just do something fun.
Just have your guys play basketball East versus West and be happy with whatever you get out of the ratings.
Mic them up, tell them, hey guys, let's not go too hard. Let's have some fun out there. You know, I don't know. It's such a, you're not going to make the All-Star game a thing. Yeah. You're not. Like, there is no world in which
there's no fixing it.
We don't care.
It it exists, and we'll watch it if we won't.
If they just took the week off, guess what? Nobody's gonna be like, man, remember how cool the All-Star game was?
I mean, I was trying to plan a trip for the All-Star weekend, but now I'm gonna take my trip over the MLK Day weekend. So now I have this All-Star break, and it turns out I don't have to work on that Friday or Monday. And now I'm like, should I just go to the All-Star game? I don't know. Anyways, let's take a break.
San Francisco.
Let's come back and we'll talk some more basketball. We'll talk some of these trade rumors and an actual trade that went down. All right, Dave. In this extended break, I guess it gave GMs time to reach out and try to drum up some interest in their players. We have some, I would call them interesting rumors about Zach LaVine and Jimmy Butler, but we did have an actual, we had 2 trades go down technically. Thomas Bryant got traded, but good luck with that, Pacers. But then,
by the way, that's news to me because I've been completely like,
they weren't talking, the media in Vegas was not talking about the Pacers picking up Thomas Bryant from the Heat.
Nope. Did not hear Pazmo.
Dennis Schroeder did get traded. The Nets were too competitive and said, we got to shut this down. And they moved Schroeder to the Warriors. The Warriors turned DeAnthony Melton's contract, and I believe it was 3 second-round picks. Not a first-round pick here, but Melton, who's out for the season with a knee injury, and 3 seconds for Dennis Schroeder. The Nets in their 1 game without Schroeder lost by 1 million. They were down like 60-25 in the first half. It was funny because Jordy Fernandez was super mad about the effort. It's like your front office told your team, we're not trying to win here, guys. So I don't know if there's a disconnect there between the front office or what Jordy Fernandez thought he signed up for. This trade, what do you think about it from the Warriors' perspective and how it can maybe address some of the issues they faced as they've lost 8 of 10?
I mean, having a guy who can score like that next to Steph, I think is going to be huge for them. I don't know if he's good enough to be their number two or whatever, but he's a better number two than they had previously. And I also think his defense allows him and Steph to play a lot together. You think about him as a point of attack defender and what he's been able to do, the last few years when he's applied himself on good teams. And so, I mean, I like the trade. I think the best part about it is the flexibility that they've got from it because he can be aggregated into a second trade. So he slides nicely. Like, that DeAnthony Melton deal was something they were keeping in their back pocket after he got hurt as a way to add salary. Well, now they still have Schroeder that they can add, into a future trade. So I think between the flexibility and the fact that he ought to fit. And now I'll tell you the most frustrating part is the first thing you hear is, well, Dennis Schroeder, we're going to make sure he gets a lot of pick and roll opportunities.
Yeah.
And I don't know. Steph must just hate pick and roll.
I don't love, for whatever reason, I don't love the fit. And maybe it's very ethereal what I just even think of. Like for whatever reason, when I hear about Schroeder on the Warriors, I'm like, it doesn't go with what I imagine the Warriors doing, but he's such a brilliant individual player and he can beat his guy off the dribble frequently, constantly, that you're like, all right, this should at least help out somewhat with these extreme dry spells that they're facing whenever Steph's off the court.
Let me ask you, is he better than Podziemski?
Well, I mean, yeah,
that's to me, all that matters is less Podziemski.
But now it's like, I don't know what
better decisions.
I don't know. I mean, it seems like he's going to steal so much of Podziemski's minutes because I don't see Steph, Schroeder, and Podziemski playing together. I mean, they can some, I guess, because Podziemski rebounds all right enough, but like, I don't know how. I don't know. Are they going to play? We're talking 20 minutes a game now of Steph and Schroeder together, and I don't know. It's going to be
but it
interesting,
gives them,
I guess.
I will say it gives them an option. I think that Kuminga and Schroeder pick and roll might be interesting.
Well, I think they need to get Kuminga going as far as like allowing him to be more of the scorer that he was in the previous season. And maybe that will help somehow. I mean, also there's not, like you said, there's no downside because Melton was gone. And so now you're at least getting another ball handler scorer to come in. For the Nets, I mean, good job, I guess, taking realistic prices. It sounds like they keep putting out through the media, like, all right, we've lowered the asking price. Everyone's lowering the asking price. I mean, some of it's the Wizards too, where they're like, hey, we've lowered the asking price for Kuzma. It's like, well, it's not low enough.
Yeah.
But like now apparently Cam Johnson's available for, maybe a pick and a player. And
well, December 15th, man. I just think that there was no reason for them to get serious about any of this until then. And the Cam Johnson piece is going to be really interesting.
I mean, he obviously is my like number one. Any team should try to get him. It's frustrating for my team. It'd be so much easier to trade for him if you're the Grizzlies. If you hadn't already gotten rid of Zaire Williams and his bigger salary. By the way, I'm much less excited for the DeAnthony Melton Zaire Williams reunion than I was for the DeAnthony Melton Kyle Anderson reunion.
DeAnthony Melton's out for the rest of the season. I mean, does he even have to show up?
I was wondering this literally earlier today because of course I was like, is Melton like, there's no way he moved, like there's, I mean, maybe I assume the Nets have an apartment for him. They're also in the CBA. There's like some amount of time where the team can pay, can't they? Yeah. I feel like there's like an amount of time the team can like just put you up in a hotel and you have to pay for it. But I'm guessing, I don't know. I'm guessing DeAnthony Melton is not physically with the Brooklyn Nets.
Yeah.
But maybe he is because like, how many weeks are we away from February 6th, the trade deadline?
Players Association has this really nice facility in Spain. I would say, hey guys, I'd like to go rehab in Spain for the winter.
Yeah. No, I assume Melton has not moved. By the way, Melton's injuries now, I mean, just what a unbelievable downer. This guy, over the past 4 seasons, He's won something like 70% of his games.
How many?
He's played, I mean, he played full seasons in 22 and 23. And then last year only played 38. And then this year, 6 games. But this guy, I was like searching. It's like if you look at the most winning players of the last 5 years, it's like all the Celtics and it's D'Anthony Melton. I mean, he's had the good fortune.
And he's going to be a Celtic next year.
Yeah, probably get him for nothing. No, he had the good fortune, of course, of being on the Grizzlies and then moving to the Sixers where they were amazing. They were, let me see, 61-30 with him as a starter the last 2 years. And I don't know, guys who can defend and make threes are unbelievably valuable. Yeah. And also, if you can rebound above your position, unbelievably valuable. Unfortunately, he had the back issue, now a knee issue. So very sad. Only got a handful of Kyle Anderson, D'Anthony Melton. It was like this reunion I was promised, and then it ended up only being like a 4-episode reboot. It was very, very short.
It's like Party Down, man.
the other trade rumors going on right now. Jimmy Butler, apparently the Heat are ready to move on or open to moving on. I like envisioning when I look at the on-court performance, I like coming up with correlations where the Heat were like, hey brother, we will trade you. Can you just give us some good games? And he's like, I got you, dog. I'm gonna go for 30, 19, and 12. I'm gonna show people what I got. And so yeah, Jimmy Butler, unbelievable game. Did you watch this Pistons game? Maybe you were already in Vegas.
This was the comeback. No,
this was the comeback. Yeah. Tim Hardaway Jr. scored 9 straight in overtime in a minute in overtime to erase an 8-point deficit. I asked you, could Klay Thompson do that?
No.
But it was an unbelievable game where the Pistons were winning and then went like 9 minutes without making a basket. And they lost a big fourth quarter lead. The Heat took it to overtime. The Heat had an 8-point lead in overtime. And then all of a sudden, Tim Hardaway Jr. is like, we haven't made a shot since 7 minutes left in the fourth quarter. I'm now going to hit 3 straight threes and win the game. It was incredible. Cade Cunningham, I think, had 18 assists in this game. Yeah, Cade's been balling. But Jimmy Butler apparently available. I think the only team that makes sense is the Rockets. And I think we talked about it last week. It's really hard to try to find a taker for this deal. The Rockets deal that would make sense to me is if you matched Jimmy Butler's salary with Dylan Brooks, Steven Adams, and then one of those Jayshawn Tate, Jeff Green, Jock Landale. And I don't know exactly what the price would be, because if the Heat are done, like if the Heat don't want to give them an extension, it seems like then the price comes way down. Right. I don't know if the Rockets would include the issue with the roster spots for the Heat in this trade. Like if they wanted one of the young guys like Cam Whitmore, who's not really in the rotation, then it's like, well, what Heat players are they getting rid of? This Drew Smith guy? I don't know. But it's like, but I feel like that could make a lot of sense. What would you think of the Rockets actually, I don't want to say short circuiting, but we saw in the Cup semifinal, they don't have offense. And I mean, I predicted it was going to be, I think 87, 83 was my call. I was a little low, but not too much low, but like they could not score. And Fred VanVleet seems banged up, but even healthy Fred VanVleet is not going to be a primary scorer. And so where I didn't want them to short circuit what they're building in Houston, I've sort of gotten on board if the cost is like one good first rounder and then maybe another bad first rounder. And if that's it, I'm like, okay, I don't hate it.
They don't run an offense ever. Like they don't run plays. This is now like multiple years of Ime Udoka as a head coach with no offensive cohesion. So I hope he gets an offensive coordinator at some point next summer. Jimmy Butler, like you need shooting around him because he's a non-shooter and not just a bad shooter, he's a non-shooter. So you need shooting around him. You need people who can get buckets because Jimmy Butler is going to try to live at the free throw line. So you need somebody who's a threat to score. If you're going to play, with Jimmy Butler, I just don't think they've got that. They
Yeah.
don't have the shooting. Too many of their possessions wind up is Fred VanVleet with 3 seconds left on the clock. And he's my height and he's pulling up over a guy who's 6'7" from a dead pull up, like not off the dribble even. So, they've got bigger problems that I don't think one guy fixes. And in particular, one guy being Jimmy Butler doesn't fix it. He's just not enough. To me, he's not a high enough floor of an offensive guy to raise that offense up to contender status. He just isn't.
Yeah. So of course the shooting is a huge issue. And even with Dylan Brooks's inaccuracy as a shooter, he unfortunately is their best 3-point spacer, I believe, right now. He's at least shoots threes. So that part of it, not ideal. But also, if you really want to compete and raise your odds of getting out of the first round, I feel like if the cost is what I said, if it's just Dylan Brooks and some other salary that doesn't matter to you, and then maybe a pick, I don't hate it under I like it when teams compete and go for it corollary. Of course, you still desperately need shooting. You need much more shooting on that team. The other versions of this trade, and this seems to be the more popular version of this trade to the Rockets, is just Fred VanVleet being the matching salary. I don't get that, because if you trade for Jimmy Butler, you're still going to need a point guard.
Right.
So I don't get how that moves the needle for the Rockets at all.
VanVleet is important to their defense.
Yeah.
So, good luck with that. I don't want the Rockets to make a trade, actually.
Yeah. I mean, it seems
need to
more prudent.
There's a consolidation trade coming for them eventually.
Yeah.
I don't want them to make a Jimmy Butler trade.
Yeah. I mean, they should be the Cam Johnson.
Yes, they should be the Cam
Johnson. Because they have all those salaries of players they don't need. They did a good job of paying Jeff Green to stick around and giving Jacques Landale a weirdly oversized contract so they can match salary in these deals.
Let me ask you a question. So the big thing I think with the Rockets that you have to think about when you're adding anyone is, what's this new personality going to be like when they get in the room with Ime?
Oh, that's a good
because
question.
It is obvious to me that Ime is like the top dog in there. I mean, it like, how's that going to work? If you bring in one of these older veteran guys who are stars, because stars win, by the way.
Yeah. I mean, I don't believe Cam Johnson fits that description.
Cam Johnson, I would be very worried about it being in the Rockets culture.
Interesting. He seems even keeled, but maybe it would be not fun for him.
Yeah, right. That's what I'm saying.
But I assume it's not. I don't think it's, I don't know. I haven't heard that it's toxic.
Oh, I don't even think it's something.
Bad. It's just intense.
Something. Right. Yeah. I'm not saying it's bad. Alperen Sengun, I watched Alperen Sengun in the pregame warm-ups on Saturday.
Yeah.
He chest bumped, and I mean full, like football touchdown celebration chest bump, every single person. Trainer. He hit Ime, and Ime was the only one that kind of stood him up. They've got a thing there, and it's working for them, right? But could you disrupt that by bringing in a guy like Jimmy Butler? Like Jimmy Butler's not exactly like the greatest soldier on the planet.
Yeah.
He kind of goes rogue. So Can you have someone come in and undermine Ime with a young team? We kind of we don't give these guys, I don't know if we accurately describe the coach killers or the vibe killers. And to me, Jimmy Butler is a little bit of a vibe killer. And it's not that he's not a great player and doesn't raise your floor and all these other things. But I do think it's got to be the right environment for him. I think the Warriors would be a better place to add Jimmy Butler than the Rockets. And it's about the youth and experience.
The thing I'm confused about with any Warriors trades is people keep saying that Dennis Schroeder can be re-aggregated, but I thought the thing would expire after the trade deadline, or you still couldn't throw him into another deal. So I'm confused there, but I don't know what the actual, I'll have to consult my CBA guys. But I liked it more for the Warriors, but I don't see how they can add up the salaries just with the players they have. The other thing that's been talked about for Jimmy Butler is maybe the Nuggets which like Jimmy Butler has had a Denver connection before. I believe he used to be buddies with Demaryius Thomas, the Broncos. There was some Broncos wide receiver that I think Jimmy Butler was close with, but the Nuggets one would be around Michael Porter Jr. And I don't know, from someone like myself who loves watching the Nuggets, I don't know if that works. Because once again, you're getting rid of your shooter.
Do you want to replace a 40% 3-point shooter who's 6'10"?
Yeah.
With a 25% 3-point shooter who's 6'6"?
Yeah.
And I mean, honestly, like, has Michael Porter Jr. played more games than Jimmy Butler the last
two seasons? I would stretch it out. How far back can we go? And like, I think the stat still goes in Michael Porter Jr.'s way.
Like somehow Jimmy Butler has escaped injury prone as a description. And it's because I think most of us just feel like he was just like takes days off.
Yeah. And I mean, he's 35.
Yeah, he's 35. And we talk about him like he's 30. Yeah. It's kind of like Dame. It's like, man, this is like a 1 year. This is maybe it.
I also have, I mean, as far as competitiveness, having Russell Westbrook and Jimmy Butler together, can't beat it. Probably two of the most competitive guys in the world. But imagining that with Jokic, where it's like, the basketball fit, you're fighting a math. You're already fighting a math problem with the Nuggets not making enough 3-pointers. And that seems tough for me. The other Nuggets trade that's been floated out there, The Athletic has reported this is like, there's been serious talks about the Nuggets trying to acquire Zach LaVine. Once again, if the Nuggets had big salaries that they could aggregate to put together to get him, that sounds like a great deal, but they don't. They have Michael Porter Jr. And this one doesn't bug me as much, but still it feels a little bit risky for the Nuggets. And I don't know, does it raise their ceiling that much to exchange Michael Porter Jr., who again, 18 points per game, high volume 3-point shooter. Yes, LaVine, also high volume. Trade. So he's high volume 3-point shooter. He's just an incredibly efficient scorer.
And he can get his own.
He can get his own. So like maybe that one. So you'd be more okay with this?
I would. Oh my gosh, man. Could you imagine LaVine and Jokic working like out of the elbow together? Yeah. The 2-man game there. I wish they could get rid of Murray, instead of MPJ. But I like the LaVine trade a lot for them. It's another guy. It's a guy that you can say, hey, Yoke, you're going to sit for 4 minutes. Zach, get us some buckets. And guess what? Wow. What an amazing idea that your number 2 player, your second best player, because LaVine would be the second best player on the team, can carry the offense for 4 minutes while your star is on the bench.
The good part of this one would be that it's possible the Nuggets might be able to pull this off without draft capital being involved. Yeah. Like apparently the Bulls,
they have to do that because
the Bulls are just like, they want to move on from LaVine and they're like, yeah, it's fine. Just give us Michael Porter Jr. We'll call it a day. And it's like, that's not a good trade for the Bulls. Like, what are you going to do?
Look,
what are you going to do with Michael Porter Jr.?
They want to trade Lonzo.
Yeah, for nothing.
Josh Giddey. They're going to have Giddey, Ayo Dosunmu, and Michael Porter Jr.
Kobe White, baby.
Free Kobe.
Vucevic is having a career year. I don't know what the Bulls are doing. This one, that trade is interesting to me. If the Nuggets had any amount of draft capital they could attach to shake free some more things, they need more help. Like, I feel like if you're losing Michael Porter Jr. and getting Zach LaVine, your roster is still, it's too shallow. And LaVine, he misses more games than Michael Porter Jr. does. And he's been mostly healthy this year. But like, you got to back yourself up. And like, I wish in that situation, if the Nuggets could attach Zeke Naji and then also bring back somebody, whether it be Jalen Smith or Ayo Dosunmu, just some vaguely useful NBA player because that is the absence. I mean, I feel like Julian Strother's coming on a little bit.
Jalen Smith would be excellent for Denver.
Dude, Jalen Smith started one game when Vucevic was sick. He had like 12 and 12 and 5 blocks. I think that guy's really good.
Yep.
I think he's really good, and he barely plays.
If they could get LaVine and Jalen Smith for MPJ, not have to give up a first, that's good. Do that. But the Jimmy Butler, I just don't, it's not for me, man. I just don't get it.
Yeah.
I can't wrap my head around that being an improvement.
Yeah. That's kind of where I'm at. I don't feel like it's that much of an improvement, if at all. And even the LaVine thing, I don't feel like it's a huge improvement. I feel like it's just par. I could be wrong there. Well, maybe you can find somebody to play in the front court because they just don't have body. Like, who is getting, is it Peyton Watson? Who's getting more minutes once you lose Michael Porter Jr.? Is it just Russ at the 4?
Maybe.
I mean,
but also don't forget, Jimmy Butler is going to opt out this summer.
Yeah.
Right. So if you're trading for him, you're saying we're either fine with him walking or we're good to give him the big extension he wants.
Yeah. No, I was just thinking of more of the LaVine trade. What if you traded Michael Porter Jr. for Zach LaVine, who's playing in your front court?
Oh, it's
just 48 minutes of Aaron Gordon and 48 minutes of Jokic.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Close to what it is now.
Seriously. Let's Dave, let's take a break and then we'll come back and answer a listener submitted question. It is now time for the croissant questioner.
Are you going to finish that croissant?
All right, Dave. Quasimofa wants to know, will Markelle Fultz ever play in the NBA again?
Probably.
Yeah, why not?
It's weird that he's not playing now. But like we know his name, and that's one of the more important things for keeping yourself in the league. I just don't. I'm honestly confused as to why he doesn't have a job. There must be a reason. I haven't heard anything though.
I just think the musical
his
chairs.
name's not even been attached.
But the musical chair stopped. Didn't have a roster spot, and he doesn't want to take a minimum. So,
because once you're a minimum guy, you're stuck.
Yeah, but it seems he seems like a minimum guy for the Nuggets or somebody.
I think he would be good on the Nuggets. The Warriors should have kicked the tires on him, to be honest with you. With his size and defensive disruption playmaking, I think he could.
Why wouldn't the Kings just to have another player? I mean, they need just a couple of other players. The Kings are going to get
some good players when they trade De'Aaron Fox.
You've been so hardcore for this De'Aaron Fox Kings trade. Here's another question. Major Christmas Carol asks, if they both have to play and start for your team for the next 5 years, would you rather have Ben Simmons or Chris Paul? That's a tough one.
Chris Paul.
So walk me through it. You're thinking he's going to be useful for how many more of those 5 years?
None.
He is useful this year. Having a good season in San Antonio.
I think that he's probably not going to get much worse in the next 5 years if he stays in pretty good shape. Ben Simmons just isn't going to get better. I don't know, man.
The only reason the Nets move on from Dennis Schroeder is because you got a Ben Simmons waiting in the wings. He's waiting to stretch his wings.
Yeah,
he's ready to fly now.
He's having a decent year, by the way. I've enjoyed watching Ben Simmons.
He is. Yeah, he's out there passing the ball some and rebounding some.
Who's trading for him?
Dude, he's going into free agency next year. What's his next contract?
He's a nice expiring contract for some team.
People don't care about expiring contracts anymore. This is a tough one. I feel like 5 years from now. So the key to this question is because he asked, Major Christmas Carol asks if they both have to start and play. It's how many minutes are we talking? If it's just if it's just a Keith Bogans, the first 5 minutes of each half, I'll take Ben Simmons. I feel like 5 minutes of Ben Simmons is fine as a starter. 6'10", can dribble, is willing to pass, hates shooting.
Plays defense.
I don't like, by the way, that Chris Middleton, since returning from injury, has just turned into Ben Simmons. He's like 3 points and 8 assists per game. I mean, it's only been like 5 games, or maybe it might be less than that. It might be 4 games.
I mean, double ankle surgery, man. And
double,
you're coming back
it's a lot.
As a jump shooter. You're a jump shooter.
It's a lot. It's worse than whatever.
He went up for a dunk in the game on Saturday, and I got very nervous because he was being contested from behind, and I was like, "Oh God, don't." I wanted to say, "Don't land on your ankles." I'm trying to understanding that that's like ridiculous, but that's how I felt watching him.
While thinking about Chris Middleton's double ankle surgery, I'll be back for the opening of the season. No, whoops, I will not. I was just thinking about Bruce Brown for the Raptors. They keep cashing them checks. All-star Bruce Brown, who, when the Raptors, somewhat surprisingly to me at least, picked up his team option, is like, hey, I'm going to have that arthroscopic knee surgery now. And I don't know what's going on with him because he was, as of September, he was out for 3 weeks. September, there's like, he's going to be reevaluated in 3 weeks. He still hasn't suited up yet for the Raptors this year. I don't know.
Maybe the Nuggets can get him.
They can bring him back. Man, I was thinking of, all right, ex-Nuggets that you wish would come back. Bruce Brown, fine, if he could play. Malik Beasley, just dropping threes for the Pistons. The Malik Beasley thing is so weird. He was really good for them, but their whole thing, as best I remember it, they were terrified he was going to force his way to the Lakers.
Yeah.
He eventually, and so they don't want to pay him. They're like, right. He looked like he was going to be a $20 million a year guy because he was like a 17 point per game, high volume 3-point shooter. But they're like, all right, he's going to force his way to the Lakers. We don't want that. He eventually ended up on the Lakers, had a horrible year. And since then it's been like no salary guy, low salary, minimum for the Bucks last year, signed for like maybe 6 or 7 this year for the Pistons. But all of a sudden he's just like that just bench guy you need just to launch threes. Yeah, I bet they wish they could have him. Bruce Brown, maybe not as much. KCP, yeah, probably a little bit.
Probably.
But anyways, I'll take 5 years at Ben Simmons. I'm playing a because also he's going to be a minimum salary the next 4 years, so it's no big deal.
You think he gets a deal?
That's a great question.
Because like Markelle Fultz is a better.
Will Ben Simmons be in the NBA next year? I
don't think so.
No, I'd go with no.
I don't think so. I think he'll go play somewhere else if he plays. That guy's made a lot of money, and I don't know that I'm guessing here, right?
Yeah.
I don't know that he loves the sort of attention that he gets.
That could be true.
I don't know, man. Look, if I had Ben Simmons money, I wouldn't play. Who wants to work? He's not even that good at it, right? Like, man, take the money and run. You won. If
I had Ben Simmons money, I would eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner at a Vegas casino. I would just, I would spend it all.
You could eat so much better food.
Oh man.
Anywhere else.
I'd buy a $70 tilapia.
I went to Jose Andres Noodles and Tacos. That was very good. I had a
good.
I had a good 18 monk, noodle soup.
Sounds amazing.
Awesome. Yeah.
Anyways, thanks you guys for the questions. Thanks to all the Patreon supporters for supporting the show. If you want your question answered on air or as part of the monthly bonus episode, that is available only at patreon.com/fastbreakbreakfast. Also, if you sign up, you can join our Slack channel and talk about basketball or whatever else around the clock. Patreon.com/fastbreakbreakfast. All right, Dave, it's now time for the awards segment of the program, the International Stackhouse of Pancakes Award, given each week to the worst performer in a box score. We did have games last week that weren't NBA Cup games, and we have some names that need to be honored. First of all, our honorable mentions. Naz Reid, 1 for 10. Cole Anthony, 2 for 12. Fred VanVleet, 3 for 15. RJ Barrett, 5 for 18. Our 3 nominees for the past week, Dave. Number 1, Modest Buzelis. In a win against the Hornets, he was 1 for 11, 5 points, 5 rebounds, 3 assists, 3 blocks, no turnovers, 1 personal foul. I got to say, when I'm watching League Pass and I'm flipping around I feel like I'm catching all these glimpses of Bulls games. I'm not sitting there from tip off to the final buzzer watching Bulls games. I feel like I keep flipping around watching Bulls games and I see Buzelis do something and I'm like, oh, that was cool. Like that was a cool dunk or a cool block. And then every time I go and look at the box score and I'm like, oh my God, it's a horrible line. So I feel like I'm always seeing these things where I'm like, oh, is Buzelis coming on strong? And then I look at the box score and it's always like, nope, I guess not.
Let me ask you this. Is he secretly is he a secret weapon because he's a white Euro, like floor spacing guy who can't shoot. So like opposing defenses, I wonder if,
they're kind of, he actually has gravity.
They're like, oh, it's a white dude. We got to guard him.
Yeah, he's a white guy from Chicago. Actually, he's not even. He's got a fancy foreign name. No, this also goes back to Summer League.
Yeah,
you talk to people in the arena at Summer League, and it was like, "Hey, how's Buzelis look?" And you're like, "Oh man, he had some plays, looked pretty good." And then you're like, "Wait a minute, he was 2 for 13." It's like something about him. I don't know. Like his plays just
looks
pop.
like he should shoot.
Yeah, and maybe he's just so big, and when he goes up to dunk, he's so tall and he jumps so high where you're like, wow. Anyways, he's a big nominee this week. 1 for 11, 5 points, 5 rebounds.
I like the rest of that stuff though. The 3 blocks. Come on.
3 blocks, 3 assists from a big 11. Yeah. Jalen Suggs is our next nominee. Jalen Suggs has been given quite the heavy burden with no Franz Wagner or Paulo Banchero against the Knicks in a loss in a game where he sort of went viral for trying very hard. What's wrong with that? I have no idea. He was hand checking Jalen Brunson up and down the court, which again, if you put both your hands on the offensive player, that's an automatic foul. Why can't just whistle those refs? But then on the jump shots, if anything happens, like you're always calling. I'm so confused by it all.
Well, you see, you don't get free throws for anything but the jump shots.
It's got to be the marching orders. I'm blaming the league higher ups for telling the refs to call weird things.
Again, man, you gotta get rid of the free throw incentive.
Jalen Suggs in this loss to the Knicks was 4 for 19, 9 points, 8 assists, 5 rebounds, 1 steal, 3 blocks, 2 turnovers, and he fouled out. And then finally, Ja Morant in a loss to the Lakers was 6 for 21. He did score 20 points, had 7 rebounds, 6 assists, 3 steals, 7 turnovers, and 3 personal fouls. So we are 3 nominees. Buzelis, 1 for 11, 5 points, 3 blocks. Jalen Suggs, 4 for 19, 9 points, 8 assists. Ja Morant, 6 for 21, 20 points, 7 turnovers. This is a tough one. This is a tough one.
Ja.
Okay.
7 turnovers is a lot, man.
I'm pretty sure Ja won last week too. Yeah, I can't argue. I might have gone Jalen Suggs for the 4 for 19, but 7 turnovers, which by the way is a season high for Ja Morant. 6 for 21, 7 turnovers is ugly. I can't defend him.
6 for 21 isn't as bad as the 7 turnovers.
Yeah, it's fair.
Right? When you're saying Ja Morant, he's the primary driver of the offense. 6-21 is going to happen. 7 turnovers, that's a loss immediately.
Yeah. Ja is averaging 5.4 turnovers in losses this year. Just 3 in victories. His turnovers are up because he's being aggressive and they're playing. They're just the Grizzlies turnovers as a team, very, very high. That has not been. Everyone released their, hey, check out the Grizzlies weird offense video in the last week. There was like 7 of them on YouTube, but none of them are like, oh, by the way, the Grizzlies turned the ball over a ton because they're winging that ball all over the place. Ja's a part of that. Congratulations, Ja Morant, winning what might be your 2nd consecutive International Stackhouse of Pancakes Award. Dave, the games get back together. Get back going tonight. I'm finally excited for a full night of NBA, but on a Thursday, I need my ball on Wednesdays and Fridays. I schedule my life around it. No, I'm excited.
Carl Towns back in Minnesota. That's going to be fun.
What's your prediction for this game? 60 points for Carl?
No. I think I just don't think Carl's going to have a great game.
Yeah.
I think those guys are going to be all over him. Not like Jordan and Pippen against Kukoc.
Yeah.
But I think they're going to be all over him. Well, who knows? I don't know.
The NBA All-Star voting has opened up.
Oh, really?
What kind of blowback, if any, would the Grizzlies get if after the Yuki Kawamura Japanese vote comes in?
Yeah.
And that wave carries Ja Morant and Jaren into the starting lineups in the West on the fan vote, and Zach Edey finishes like 6th. What kind of blowback would the Grizzlies get?
There's not going to be any blowback, Keith.
If then they cut Yuki once the All-Star voting closes.
There's not going to be any blowback because they are absolutely going to fake those voting numbers. There is absolutely no way.
Well, I mean, the fan vote is all, was it 25%, 50%?
Is there a third party verifying the fan vote and tabulating all this stuff?
Yeah, Dominion Voting Services, and you don't say anything bad about them because they've won numerous. Yeah, I've never heard anything about them. Very honest. They've won numerous court cases for being good. Guys. Yeah, stand up. Dominion vote is going to count it. No, I think the Grizzlies are going to get a big boost from one of the most popular players in that country.
I bet Steph Curry gets more votes from Japan than Ja Morant.
Oh, we should, if we can find that out.
No way to find out.
We got to be able to find it out.
This isn't an open process, and it shouldn't be. The NBA should absolutely be fixing the vote because the last thing you want is Yuki making the All-Star game.
It's going to be amazing.
That's a disaster.
I love it. Maybe they would change it into like a 6 teams of 6
ping pong tournament.
First to 18 ping pong tournament. Yeah.
That's it.
Pickleball, hosted by Jimmy Butler. Can't wait. Anyways, thanks for coming on, Dave. Always a pleasure talking basketball with you.
Sorry we're so late this week.
Oh yeah. I mean, you were in Vegas. We're respecting the cup. We had we had to give plenty of berth around the NBA Cup.
Is this our Christmas episode?
I don't know. You want to record on Monday?
Let's do one next week. Yeah, let's do one next week.
Let's do it on Monday. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Listeners, you guys are the best. Thanks for listening. And remember, breakfast is the most important thing.
Yeah, never apologize for being G&G. Fastbreak break, man. You understand? I will remember.